Welcome back to New Day Northwest. This is a time we usually dedicate to talking about the Seahawks, and we are going to do that. But we wanted to start by trying to understand a very difficult situation that happened last night in Cincinnati. Buffalo Bills player Damar Hamlin remains in critical condition in Cincinnati right now after he collapsed during last night's game against the Bengals. Hamlin had just made a tackle, and when he stood up to get on his feet, he immediately collapsed. Medical staff from both teams rushed to the field and administered CPR while players kneeled around him and shed tears. Hamlin left the stadium in an ambulance, and the game was postponed. Overnight, the Buffalo Bills updated Hamlin's condition. They say he suffered a cardiac arrest, and while his heart is beating on its own again, he's currently sedated and in critical condition. Terry Hollimon joins me now. Terry, this is something that has rocked not just the world of sports, but I feel like everyone in our nation right now is just so saddened to see what happened. We see injuries on a weekly basis, but this is really scary. What were your thoughts when you saw this kind of happening in real time?
Yeah, it was absolutely shocking, Amity. I know you see players, like you said, get hurt week in and week out, but the way he was injured and the way he fell after standing up into this motionless heap, it was really disturbing. And again, to see him, the fans, shock immediately, and then the staffs of both teams come out, and it was just a scary situation.
Because you knew immediately, as soon as just the way he fell, you knew immediately something was wrong, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You see the way that both training staffs run out there, and then you see the players on the field obviously emotionally disturbed by what they saw, and then the way they surrounded him so that he had his private moment, and then the way they administered CPR and a defibrillator to help him start breathing again. You know it was a different situation.
The look on these players' faces is absolutely heartbreaking. The fans you can see in the stands just looking on, scared. It's scary.
It was scary. Absolutely.
It's a scary situation. I was listening this morning to Dan Patrick, and they were talking about the situation and how there was one particular sportscaster that was shocked that they postponed the game.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the sad thing about this. Sometimes people put money before human lives and health, and in this situation, it took a long time for them to postpone the game, and people were talking about, there's so many implications for this game. It was a big game, the playoffs, and who gets in and who doesn't. We need to play this game, and ultimately, it all took a back seat, and it should have taken a back seat to this player's health and well-being, because you're talking about somebody's life, and you can't put a dollar figure on that.
You really can't. It's just so sad to see this situation, and of course, we'll have to continue to monitor it, how it goes. But thanks for sharing that with us this morning and what you had saw and your thoughts, because I think all of us are really just struggling to understand how these types of things happen, and it's hard. Sometimes there's no understanding it. Let's talk a little Seahawks now. They had a really good win against the Jets on Sunday. They still had a chance for the playoffs, right?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
Is this going to happen?
Deal. That is a good deal. It can happen. We have put ourselves in a position to be in the playoffs. There needs to be some things that need to happen this weekend in order for it to take place. But I think, if the Seahawks go out and take care of business this weekend versus the Rams, we have a really good shot.
Okay. All right. So they have to win against the Rams. And then Green Bay has to lose,
Green Bay has to lose versus the Detroit Lions, and then the Seahawks will be in. Again, like I said, we put ourselves in a position. We have to take care of business versus the Rams here, and then we need a little bit of luck with Green Bay going to Detroit, and hopefully they take a loss.
So the 12s aren't happy about the timing of that Packers-Lions game, though, right?
Right. So the Packers game has been flexed to the Saturday night game, which will be after the Seahawks play. So what people are thinking, especially here in Seattle, is that if Seattle wins, right, that means Detroit is out. So if Detroit is out, they find out that they're out, they play a game Sunday night, they don't want to play. They have no motivation to play right there.
Why am I here?
Right. So if they feel like they might tank the game, knowing that the Seahawks win, but regardless, the Seahawks first and foremost have to take care of business versus the Rams, and then we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we did see during the game with the Jets, we did see the offense wake up
They did.
That looked good.
They did.
Finally got the run game going, thanks in big part to Ken Walker.
Yes, yeah. Ken Walker started off the game with an incredible first play of the game, like 60-yard run, which got things going for the Seahawks. And historically, if you watch the Seahawks team, the way they have been winning games over the last decade plus has been with the run game. Start with the run game, play great defense, control the clock, and they did that this past weekend versus the Jets.
Seattle's defense also deserves some credit.
They did. So they've been up and down all season. They've having some inconsistency. Sometimes they look incredibly great, and then sometimes they look trash. And this past weekend, they were great. Everybody was playing good on all ends of the defense, from the front seven to the secondary. They all played in conjunction with each other.
Just 2 field goals. That's it. That's all you get.
That's all you get. You get to kick 3 field goals, no touchdowns.
You
Go
get
back to
what
New York.
Get,
That's
and
right.
You don't get upset. Jets.
That's right. I love your take on football. Right? You can't imagine Amity on the field right now, looking at the other team. You get what you get.
I would. Oh my gosh, I'm like the Ted Lasso of football here in America, though. All right. So what's next? They're going to wrap up their regular season next week against the Rams.
Yep, this weekend.
Must-win game.
Absolutely.
What do we have to? I know that the Rams aren't great. Everyone's like, oh, they're the worst. They are the worst.
Yeah.
But
see, there she goes again.
but we've done this before, where we're like, and then we get handed to us.
That's the catch. So the Seahawks have to go out and win this game this weekend. And even though the Rams are not doing as well as they would, they're actually doing historically bad. Let's be honest. But the Seahawks have lost games this year to historically bad teams. They should have beat the Raiders. They should have beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There are a lot of games they should have won. So hopefully they don't fall asleep at the wheel again, and they could beat a team that's been beat up this weekend.
All right, well, this will be Bobby Wagner's first game in Seattle wearing a different uniform.
Yes.
Is he going to get a little love from the crowd, do you think?
I think he'll get a lot of love. Bobby Wagner is a well-loved person in Seattle. Okay. He's done his thing here in Seattle for a decade. He helped his team win a Super Bowl. He's helped his team win a lot of games. He's going to go into the Hall of Fame as a Seattle Seahawk. I think the fans will give him a standing ovation. He has nothing but love. There's been no controversy with Bobby Wagner in the city of Seattle, like some other players who will remain unnamed. Russell Welsham. Muscle Kilson.
Filson?
Smilson.
Bilson.
Yeah,
yes,
whatever.
I know
Sierra's
what you're
husband.
saying.
Let's just call him Sierra. But yeah, Bobby won't have that problem.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. That is really good to hear. Before I let you go in closing, I mean, as we were talking about Cincinnati, as a football player, when you go into games after this, how do you think they're going to feel? I mean,
like with the injury to Damar Hamlin, it is tough, especially immediately. Like I said, that's why the game should have been postponed. The players were not prepared to go in mentally, and if you're not prepared mentally, you won't be ready physically. So I think you get into a situation where you want to know that young man is okay, he's healthy, and then you can start moving forward. Even as a player that's on the opposing team, it kind of disturbs you. But I think what we have to do as football players is compartmentalize things like that and say, we have a job to do, we have people to go entertain, we have and we have something to go do, and so that's what they do.
I know. Well, I thank you for talking this out with me. And you know, one of my New Year's resolutions is gratitude. And I just want to say I'm so grateful for you every time when you come here and talk the Hawk Zone with me.
Well, thank you. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm grateful for everybody out there as well. Thank you guys.
All right. We're also grateful for Darcy Camden, because she